Welcome back, everyone. It is Sunday sit-down time. Joining me tonight virtually, KTGR's Andy Humphrey. Andy, how you doing on this Sunday? We saw a new kind of loss at it for Field. Kind of give me your overall thoughts on that one. That was an interesting game.
New way to lose. Check that off the box, or maybe create the box first and then check it. That's kind of how it goes when Mizzou ends up losing games like that. Yeah, I mean, where to begin? All kinds of ways that Mizzou put themselves in bad positions once again. We saw them really play mistake-free football on offense against South Carolina, and then that reared its ugly head against Kentucky. Brady Cook had that early fumble, wasn't really throwing as much downfield in that first half. Ended up playing a little bit better towards the second half, but the offense in general, just that unit was not able to at least help out the defense to be able to put them in better situations. Credit to the defense, obviously, once again standing up, and time and again when they're put with their backs against the wall, they're able to deliver and give Mizzou a chance. But in the end, it's yet another one of these games that the Tigers lose in conference by one score, and it's another one of those where fans look back and say, well, if this was changed or this was changed, then there's a winning record for Mizzou instead of 4-5. So it's just yet another example of the kind of season that Mizzou has had this year.
Well, it's kind of crazy how close they are to having that winning record in the SEC. You look at a few plays in each game, and obviously the play everyone's talking about in this game is that roughing the punter call. You know, kind of give me your overall thoughts on that one. I mean, did you think that was a warranted call, or what did you see on that?
Right. The thing is that officials, I understand why folks are upset at the officials in that spot. To me, I think it's less about the officials and more about the rule. I think there has to be a look from the powers that be in the NCAA that create these situations, or create these rules rather, to look at that kind of play and make sure that a player like Will Norris, the guy who made the tackle, is not faced with an impossible decision to all of a sudden get away from the mode of, I have to chase down this ball, and the guy that is chasing it on the other team to, oh no, I have to ease up and make sure that I'm not called for roughing the kicker. Look, the thing is, I mean, I think by the letter of the law, I can see why the officials called it roughing the kicker. I would maybe be a little bit iffy on whether or not you could reasonably assume that the punter was in a reasonable punting spot. I mean, there's obviously room for interpretation there, but what the NCAA can do is make sure that it's not left up to interpretation as much, and make sure that it's much more clear that on plays like that, when there is an obvious fumble that is obviously putting the fumbling team in dire straits, then don't penalize the defense for trying to capitalize upon that mistake. So I understand why folks are upset at the officials. I think it's not as much their fault as it is the rules' fault, and the committee has to look at that kind of thing, or the rules committee has to look at that and say, maybe there's something that needs to be tweaked here.
Well, they obviously need 2 more wins to get bowl eligibility this year. 3 more games on the schedule. You look at next week is Tennessee. That's going to be a tough game. Do you think there's a chance on this schedule to get bowl eligibility? Obviously, you think New Mexico State is kind of a gimme game there, but do you think out of those 2 SEC games, Arkansas and Tennessee, that they can get that bowl eligibility?
No chance against Tennessee. I'll just say that right now. That's a team that all of a sudden needs to be in style points mode. They have to beat down every single opponent that is left on their schedule to make sure that in the eyes of the committee they look as good as possible, that even without making a trip to the SEC championship game, they can still be in the top 4 in the playoff, because it might not look like they're getting there after that loss to Georgia. So they have to make sure that they take care of their business, and I think the Tigers are just kind of in their way at that point. Arkansas is interesting. That of the 2, of course, is the most winnable. I just don't see Mizzou winning it at this point. There's a chance that this team could still get into a bowl at 5-7. We'll certainly see. But if you were hoping for 6-6, I think yesterday was your best chance at Mizzou reaching that point. And that was, honestly, it doesn't really matter to me at least, whether it's a bowl type season or not. It's showing tangible progress in year 3 of a head coach's tenure and trying to give the fan base something to latch onto for future years so that you can continue to get that support, you can continue to get that recruiting momentum. We're still waiting to see that, and I think that Arkansas game is the last chance for Mizzou to get that 6th win to say, all right, at least we got back to where we were last year.
Well, switching gears a little bit, obviously men's hoops starts tomorrow, the debut of the Dennis Gates era. Obviously, we got to meet the team a little bit last week. Kind of give me your initial thoughts on this group, what you think overall people can expect maybe. I know it's a lot of new faces out there.
Yeah, tons. I mean, look, they looked fine against, Wash U in their exhibition game, but you really can't gather too much from that when it's such a mismatch of talent, to be honest with you. Look, the fact that they have a nice ramp up to some of their non-conference games like Wichita State and eventually Kansas and some of the other Power 5 or Group of 5 schools that they'll have on their schedule. A lot of mid-majors that they'll have to deal with through the first 7 games or so. And that's a real proving ground for a lot of those players. So for Dennis Gates to be able to piece together what his best rotation is, what his best combinations on the floor are. But I think I'm intrigued to see what the guards can do. I mean, I liked what I saw from Nick Honor in that exhibition game, kind of being a floor general and being able to steady things. That's a big thing that Mizzou missed last year without having a point guard. They just missed that presence, that ball handling skill, bringing the ball up the floor under pressure, being able to take care of the basketball in that sense. So, I mean, it might be a rotating cast of characters to see what the best 5 is on the floor for Mizzou in the first few games, but that can provide some excitement. It's a little bit intriguing when you venture into the unknown and you piece together a brand new team that, look, that they made some big splashes in the transfer portal, and we'll see how that all pieces together for Dennis Gates.
Well, it'll be interesting to watch that game tomorrow night. Obviously, kind of feels a little bit like last year where we didn't really know too much about this team heading into the season, but I guess we'll see how it plays out this time. Thanks for joining me tonight, Andy. I appreciate it. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday night.
Great. Thanks so much, Natalie.
For the rest of you guys, we'll be right back after the break.